Okay, so this is not clickbait. This is actually something that I came across while surfing on the internet without having to dox myself because I'm not British. But it talks about how a zoo in Denmark is asking the public to donate unwanted small pets or horses to be fed to captive predators. Now, the first thing that my European cynical sense is telling me is that meat is becoming so expensive due to policy that zoos are forced to actually lower their PR, to lower their reputation, in order to beg the public for more meat to feed the animals. Like, it's fucking insane, isn't it? Right? You gotta wonder, like, why was meat more cheap in 2019 than it is now? Like, has there been a great plague? Has there been a massive famine, an infestation or something? No, politicians, right? Like, politicians, through their wisdom, have made meat more expensive in the European Union. And, of course, you know, the public isn't supposed to know that, because then a politician may lose his job. And that is definitely a tragedy, you know, like a politician losing their job. Horrible. But all in all, yeah, like, I genuinely think that if you have a zoo coming out and say, give us your pets, yeah, I think finances are tight. Anyway, right, you have a lot of people on the internet, as usual, dissecting this and talking about morality. And there are some people that talk about, deconstructing this whole argument and wondering, like, why is it a bad thing, though? Like, why is it a bad thing? Because, let's say you have a snake, right? Well, the snake has to eat rabbits in order to survive. Like, if the snake doesn't eat rabbits, it dies. And at the end of the day, it's nature. Like, nature is not about being fair. Nature is not about cuteness. Nature is about survival. And so what's the difference if a snake eats a rabbit that's grown with the purpose of predatory consumption versus someone else's pet rabbit? Like, at the end of the day, a rabbit still has to get eaten for the snake to survive, right? And so I'm fascinated over the fact that people don't have the moral framework or the arguments to combat this level of deconstruction. You know, at the end of the day, it's not about Denmark or the zoo, you know, like, I don't give a fuck about them. But what I do care is that people have become so unequipped to deal with someone that's deconstructing an argument, right? And I will tell you then what's wrong with the concept of feeding a pet to a snake versus buying a rat that was raised specifically to be consumed by a snake. And again, like, this is assuming that the way you're feeding the snake is by feeding it euthanized prey, right? Like, a lot of the modern way of raising animals fit for predatory consumption is to euthanize them with a needle. Whether this is less painful than getting squeezed by the snake, I don't know. I honestly think, like, getting squeezed by the snake is actually less painful because the way that the euthanasia works. Anyway, right, well, whatever. Let's talk about the morality, right? The focus is on the animals themselves. No, like, the focus is on the owner and the mentality. This is the biggest issue. When you take a pet, it's implied that you give your word of honor that you're going to properly take care of it. Like, you're assuming a huge responsibility. And so what ends up happening is that, especially with, let's say, the rabbit industry, right? Like, the rabbit industry is a huge problem. I don't know how many of you are aware. But if you look at how rabbits are commercialized, you notice that they're extremely cheap. Like, they're so cheap that if you actually have connections, you can even get rabbits for free. Like, there's a lot of them. Like, pet stores will even refuse to take new rabbits. They have so many. And so how do they monetize that? Well, the rabbit is cheap, but, like, you need to get the terrarium, you need to get the water dispenser, you need to get some toys for the rabbit. Yes, there are actual toys for the rabbit. And then you also get the hay, and you become a returning customer to the pet store. And so that's how they make money, right? And it's in their interest to just sell you the rabbit and fuck off because they have so many. And what happens is like a lot of people do something called an impulsive purchase. Like they see the cute rabbit in the store and they want one. But they don't understand what it means, right? Like they don't understand that the rabbit is going to start chewing everything in the house. Like it's going to start chewing the carpet. It's going to start chewing cables. It pees a lot. It smells when it does that. It requires a lot of maintenance. And a lot of people aren't ready for it, right? And so if you have a person like that all of a sudden decides to donate that rabbit to a zoo so that they can feed it to a snake, the issue isn't with the rabbit itself, right? Because like at the end of the day, the snake will still eat rabbits. Like if it doesn't eat your own, it will eat another, right? The issue is with the morality of the person that does it. Like they assume the responsibility when they bought the rabbit, and now they're failing in their moral responsibility that no one forced it upon them. Like this was a choice. They decided to buy it and they decided to be responsible for it. And when they're giving it to the zoo, they're showing that they're not a responsible person and they're showing a lot about themselves. And that is why people are abhorred by this. Right? Even though they can't articulate it, even though they don't know how to put it in words, like deconstructing the argument and being like, well, you know, the snake still eats a rabbit. Well, as a human being, right, like when you get a pet, it's also like suppose that you would attach yourself to the pet. Because people assume that you're not lobotomized. People assume that you have some feelings, some emotions. And normally, humans do get attached to tiny animals, right? And like failing to make the attachment, failing to make the commitment, failing to respect your word of honor, that is the problem. It's not like, oh, you gave a pet to the zoo. It's like, okay, you know, if you didn't, like another rabbit would have taken its place. That's not the issue. The issue is like why you did it and the fact that you didn't have discipline and self-control. Now, there is an exception for this. And, you know, I don't really want to criticize the zoo that much because, like, one of the things that they're doing is actually good. And they're basically saying that if your animal has a terminal illness, right? So, like, your horse is suffering from bone cancer and you know that it's irreversible and it's terminal. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to allow the horse to suffer to the last end? Like, can you even give the horse morphine like you would give to a human? I generally don't know. I guess it depends on the country and the legislation. But generally speaking, a lot of cancer treatments that are available for humans, they do not work for animals. And so, in that situation, well, you got to put the horse to sleep, right? And you're not going to allow it to suffer if it's an advanced stage of cancer. And the zoo is basically saying, you know, instead of giving it to a vet to put it to sleep, give it to our vet, we will put it to sleep, and the meat from the horse is going to be used to feed animals. And so, like, that's actually a good thing, right? Because, like, there's less waste. I agree with that. What I don't agree is with the concept that if someone bought a pet, then they go to the zoo and they're like, well, I can't take care of the pet anymore, you have it. I mean, you know, I'm not saying it should be banned, because at the end of the day, you know, if someone really hates their pet to that level, and would take it to the zoo to be given to a predator, well, that person would also kick the pet outside of their house, and it gets ran over by a car, or it gets taken by the dog catcher, and it's going to be euthanized anyway, right? So, like, sometimes banning things doesn't change much. But it's shocking about the mindset of the person, right? Like, it's like, why would you do that, right? Like, just because it's not illegal. You know, it's the shopping cart thing. It's like, no one is forcing you, but, like, you're doing it willingly. The fuck is wrong with you? So, yeah, all in all, the reason I made the video is because I'm shocked about how difficult it is for people to articulate complex moral issues. Like, it used to be a lot simpler. I remember in 2010, like, you would go on the internet and people would be able to dissect or defend their arguments without having to resort to emotion and dial it to 11 and make accusations. It's like, oh, how can you think this way? Oh, no human being thinks. Yeah, but like, explain why is it bad to think that way? Like, can you frame it in your own words? And mostly people can't. So yeah, I think like people are becoming more stupid. The more terms of service we have, the more people are allowed to give in to emotion rather than reason. It is what it is. Let me know what you guys think though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.